Alright, I got a very special video for you. I'm glad I'm finally getting around to making a video for this exclusively. I've spoken about it in a couple of my videos, but now I want to speak on the benefits of a cold shower. I talk about a cold shower and things like that. You know, people look at me like I'm crazy. Oh, I could never do that and whatever. Or they may even think that I'm trying to hype myself up, make myself seem like I'm tougher than what I really am. But none of that is true. What I don't really do things so I can stand out and be crazy and things like that. It just so happened that's where all the benefits are, and standing out. And we are too accustomed to chasing comfort that we are doing ourselves in. Okay? So I want to speak on the benefits of a cold shower because there's quite a few as I was writing this list that I've personally experienced, and the list is, you know, a little bit more wider or a little bit more longer than 10. I don't know how much because I'm just going off the top of the dome because I've literally been taking mostly cold showers since 2016. I would say for every 100 cold showers I've taken, maybe 3 to 5 warm showers. And part of that was because I was in the shower with a woman, or because, I don't know, I just felt so goddamn beat up that I felt weak, so I just took me a nice little warm shower, you know. But yeah, even now, if I feel weak, I still take a cold shower. It feels fantastic, and I'm gonna go over the benefits here. You know, I got my boom boom. So the first thing, it lowers your blood pressure, guys. Your heart health is very important. We take this for granted because when we were younger, we were able to get away with having a poor diet and sitting on our ass all day, you know, not drinking water, just drinking soda, and, you know, just chicken after chicken, no matter how salty it was, and we, you know, get some Big Macs, whatever. But as you get older, your heart health becomes that much more important. So inevitably, we will die by the things we live by. Okay? So we trick ourselves into thinking what worked in the past can work now and in the future. But that's simply just not the case. We live in a country that seems to be so fixated on great health and things like that, that we are extremely unhealthy. And if we can manage to pay more attention to our heart health, and I think we can start to reverse a lot of the other illnesses that we are dealing with. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, it lowers your blood pressure. Number 2, it increases your circulation and blood flow. Now, I haven't done too much. Well, let me just start this by saying, they say that sitting is the new smoking, as far as smoking cigarettes. So sitting is bad for you. It cuts off your circulation. It increases your chances of having blood clots, slows down your blood flow. So that's bad for your heart. Dating back to tying this with my first point, it's bad for your heart. It's bad for you. So I started thinking, because they said it couldn't be reversed even if you exercise a lot and things like that, you know, the effects of sitting. And I started thinking, like, that's probably because most people are taking warm showers. Most people who are sitting down all day are taking warm showers. Most people in general. And cold showers reverse those effects. So if you sit down a lot, let's say you sit down in your car a lot as part of your job, or you work an office job, or what have you, a truck driver, this is going to reverse the effects. You know? So for that point alone, I would encourage more people to take cold showers, because we live in a time where we aren't taking nowhere near as many steps as we once did a long time ago. Used to be a time where 30,000 steps in a day was the norm. Now We're trying to aim for 3,000 steps, okay? Yes, we are in an unhealthy ass world. And we are becoming sloppy, lazy, docile, all of those things. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off point. The cold shower will reverse the effects of sitting down. That's my declaration. Somebody follow me up with some research, but I think it'll help. Number 3, it fights off depression and anxiety. Now, I don't have too much to add to that. I just know from my own personal experience that it does, and it probably has something to do with my 4th point. So I just kind of tie this together, is that it forces you to be present. Okay? Also, I will be tying that with my 7th point. But yeah, it fights off depression and anxiety. It forces you to be present, because it's hard to really focus about what's to come next and all your woes and troubles of last night or this morning, or when you have to focus on this cold. You're forcing yourself to, in a sense, learn how to row in a storm, you know? And that's definitely one thing that I noticed. I mean, I read about it prior to, and I just thought that was interesting, because when you're dealing with anxiety, they say that the remedy for that is to get warm and things like that. And I've known that to be true, that the cold could actually trigger anxiety attacks. But around the time when I started taking cold showers, I stopped having anxiety attacks altogether. Now, when I first took a cold shower, I felt the effects of anxiety attack coming on. You know, like your mouth gets a little numb, your chest gets just tight. You know that feeling. There's a similar feeling of when you meditate in such a way, and you start to feel those same sensations. That but I noticed that if I focused on my breathing, which is another benefit, by the way, I didn't write this down, but actually, that may be part of the reason why it helps in fighting depression and anxiety anyway. It forces you to take deeper breaths. So it increases your breathing. So that's a bonus one right there. So we'll just say 11 benefits or so. But you know, if I don't know, your breathing just becomes more pure and just full, and that may have a lot to do with fighting off the depression and anxiety, because I know with anxiety, for one, and probably just with depression also, I like to separate the two. I always did. Is that your breathing gets shallow. You know, we're taking these shallow breaths, and it's just not good for us in many regards. So number 5, what we got here? It takes the what out of you? Slop. I'll get back to number 5. I don't even know what the hell I wrote. But anyway, number 6, it makes you more disciplined. Nothing's more uncomfortable than taking a cold shower in the morning. And I mean, you have choices too. That's the thing. You can take a warm shower, but if you can discipline yourself to wake up in the morning when your mind is most impressionable, and you take a cold shower, then you can discipline yourself to do other things. You say, well, okay, I can force myself to do that. I can force myself to work out. I can force myself to write. I can force myself to whatever, do laundry, all those things. It makes you more disciplined. And also, you know, it just calms everything down for you, and that promotes you to be even more disciplined. When you don't have that worry going for you, like, okay, what I got to do next? Okay, do it. You know, and you can treat taking a cold shower as a task. Taking a cold shower is no small thing, and I've taken hundreds of them, obviously, because since 2016, and it's still no small thing to me. Sometimes I'm kind of, you know, tiptoeing into that cold shower. Okay, And I actually know what my point is now that I think about it. My handwriting, look at my handwriting. Whew. Good luck. I think it's backwards, but anyway, good luck. So my other point, which was the fifth point or whatever, we'll call it the sixth or the seventh at this point, is that it takes the shock out of you. That's what I meant to say. So, I remember hearing a story about how a gang leader, probably multiple gang leaders, would make their subordinates take cold showers to get them used to the shock, to make them immune to the shock that will come from them being shanked. And I just thought that was really interesting. And I've noticed that getting myself used to the shock of a cold shower has prepared me for the shocks of life. You know? Which kind of reminds me of this book that you should read called Relentless by Tim Grover. And basically, Tim Grover, he was a trainer of a lot of Hall of Fame basketball players. Kobe Bryant, D. Wade, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but Hakeem Olajuwon, a lot of people. And basically what he would do is he would make the practices harder than the game. So as you could imagine, when it was game time, you could see why these players just dominated everybody else. You know, I would venture to say that most people, even in the NBA, don't practice as hard as they play in the game, and it shows. They get dominated by the person who plays harder, who practices harder. That's why you hear these horror stories of like Kobe Bryant practicing 3 hours before the game, and then when it's game time, he's dominating everybody. That's not a coincidence. The man was practicing, you know, he was making the game harder than it was going to be in his mind and in practice. And when it was game time, you saw what happened, okay? And that's what happens when you take cold showers. Because there aren't too many things that's going to be as uncomfortable in your daily life as taking a cold shower. You know what I'm saying? It definitely forces you to focus on the problem. And in comparison, this is why I like making myself uncomfortable, or why I can appreciate it. Is that in comparison, what other people will throw at you throughout the day most likely won't be that bad. So you're prepared for whatever. So it's great preparation is what a cold shower is. And my bad that I couldn't make out what I wrote initially. So my next point is that it helps with inflammation. Which a lot of depression is tied to anyway. It could be inflammation of the mind. And I don't know if it's just me, but when I'm feeling really depressed and anxious or whatever, my mind is just like on fire. But it may be a byproduct of my mind. I said my mind, but my brain being on fire, my head being on fire. Which could also have something to do with the foods that we eat. Because there are foods that promote and that have inflammatory properties. And there are foods that anti-inflammation. And obviously cold showers are among the latter, which, I mean, it's not food, but it's anti-inflammatory. So you would imagine that people with arthritis and things like that, it would help them. Also, again, if you do have arthritis and whatever other things that that have something to do with inflammation, maybe tooth infection and things like that, you don't want to eat foods that promote that. You know, you don't want to eat the fried foods and all, because it's going to have flare up. You know, how many people you know with gout and things like that, they eat some fried fish and shit like that, and all of a sudden it just start hurting a lot more. Okay, so you want to take more of an alkaline approach. You want to expose yourself to foods, and of course the cold water that's going to take away from the inflammation that you feel. My grandma, she deals with she has arthritis in her knees and things like that, and there have been some nights where she was crying, and I convinced her to take a cold bath and things like that, and I put cold water on her knees and things like that, just rub it, and also use coconut oil and things, and just use coconut oil, and she would feel much better. But then she would go around and do things that would flare it back up, like smoke cigarettes and I guess eat fried food, whatever. So that's just a little tidbit, and I'm just kind of tying that into your diet and all that, but it helps with inflammation, so you definitely take that from me. My next point, it speeds up your muscle recovery. Speeds up the process of restoring tissues, and it'll allow you to get back to those tougher workouts. Help you get back to the ones with high resistance, so to speak, which is really important. And also, it does another thing for you, which I don't know if it's necessarily tied together, but it increases your testosterone, which is my next point. Increases HGH levels. So here you are. You got muscle recovery going, and then you have increased testosterone levels, which promote muscle gains. So it's really beneficial for you people who like to work out and see a lot of progress in your body, and I think, and at a rapid rate too. And here I go. This is one thing that I wanted to do. I made a video about semen retention, and I made a video about intermittent fasting. So here's the third one: cold showers. Okay, you tie all these three together, and you're gonna make a beast out of yourself if you're in the bodybuilding community. Now, I wanted to mention this in my intermittent fasting videos, and I forgot. But you take a guy like Herschel Walker, who only eats one meal a day. It's probably a big meal, but it's towards the end of the day, and he's more aligned with how things used to be for us, where we would hunt by day and feast by night. But anyway, if you combine these three things, the cold showers, the intermittent fasting, and the semen retention, guys, and I don't know what it is for women. I guess the same thing, just without semen retention. I don't know, because you don't have semen. You might. I was about to make a nasty joke, but whatever. You combine those things, and you will see muscle gains at a much faster rate. And I'm sure you can do research on all three individually, like I have, and I've practiced all three individually. You just tie them all together, man. You will come to the same conclusion that I've come to. And the final one, you lose weight. It forces you to burn the white fat, which is the more so the unhealthy fat that you have in your stomach area. And I want to say that the white fat is insulin resistant, and that's why a lot of us end up getting diabetes. Now, I know there's skinny people with diabetes. I don't really want to speak too much on all that because I'm not a doctor. But you have to imagine, if you have a lot of white fat and it's insulin resistant, it's going to open up the gates for diabetes. Okay? So there's no coincidence in that regard. So I hope my video helped. I'm sorry that was all over the place and not that articulate, but hopefully I dropped enough gems. As always, you're free to follow me up with some research of your own. Let me know your perspective on it all, and reach out to me, man. Like and subscribe. I really appreciate all the love. Take care.